We just add it to the agenda too.
Pardon?
Just add it as old or new business to the agenda coming out of executive session.
To make a motion to come out of executive session?
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kears?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
I just want to add one thing, coming on the agenda, all right? So we're out of the executive session. I believe that you should all receive Chad's letter. Did you not receive that?
Yeah.
He's emailed to me.
It was,
regarding
it was an
economic-
email, it wasn't a
Yeah.
letter.
An email.
Yes. The
You
email.
got that? All right. So you all have it. It's not a matter of anything other than what's there. And he had 4 points that he wanted to talk about. One, he was concerned because the document just said that you'll get reports, you know, and he did say, well, that's not enough. We got to have somebody where they're going to at least do it quarterly, and we should have meetings where all the council and all the trustees are together to get those quarterly reports. So that was his one proposition, all right? The problem, I guess, is that we've never met for years, all right? So it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to do it. So, but that was number one for him. You know, the other one was pretty plain. The idea that 2023 deliverables. Obviously, that makes no sense because deliverables are going to be moving forward, not last year. So that makes sense, all right? Let's see, the next one was, rewritten the township, oh, that's right. He wanted to go back to what we did with the township on the cemetery. He said, oh my God, this says Ravenna Community, and the Ravenna Community is composed of 2 units, the township and the city, and it goes only against Mr. West. So it has to be both the township and the city to compose Ravenna Community, and Mr. West to go ahead and bring about a termination of the contract. So there's only, in reality, 2 entities, one being made of both the city and the township. He opposes that because of the township contract with the cemetery. He wants that to say that the township should be able to stand on their own. If they want to terminate the agreement, it should be them being able to say that by themselves without it being a combined effort, a joint effort of both the city and the township. You understand that? Comprehend? All right? Does that make sense to you or not?
Yeah.
You understand what he's saying? Okay, so that was the next major issue, in my opinion, that he addressed. And lastly, he indicated, let's see, well, he wants to clarify withholding taxes and monies being, how that will be accommodated if he's an independent contractor, how those funds will be accounted for.
Well, I think his last point was that,
No, there's one more after that.
Oh,
I
okay,
appreciate
I'm
it.
sorry.
There is one more point. And lastly, he wanted to say the 25%.
Right.
The agreement says quarterly. He says he wanted to use 2.5%, which I don't know what the difference is, all right? So those are the things he sent back to us. I told him that I would talk to you tonight, and I would try to get some kind of a response to his 4 points. If you want to take it back and think about it a little bit more, and then get something to me, I will then return to Mr. Burdock, and we can put it together. But, you know, I sent it to everybody, so it's not a matter of privacy or anything like that. It's out on the table, and but that's where we are.
Okay.
So the idea basically is, I would like to respond to him on those issues whenever you feel comfortable providing me something.
Mayor,
Okay.
the MOU was already signed by the township. It was approved and signed. Was the
But-
contract
Well-
approved and signed?
Let me just say one quick thing, okay? Well, I apologize, because there's one more thing I should add. Last week, we met, and Chelsea had a copy of the MOU signed by the township.
Right.
The township had the wrong numbers, all right? They had signed it, but it talked about not the full amount that he was to be paid this year, I can't remember now.
it was 90.
95.
Yeah, 95 this year, but it was
You know,
90.
but they had 80 or something. I don't know.
90.
They had something different.
It was 90.
So that was that wrong. They had the wrong monthly payment to be paid to him. They had $7,400 versus $7,900. And there was one more number that was incorrect. I can't remember what it was, but they were all incorrect. So we got a hold of them. That day, we talked to, not Jim DePaul, we talked Henry, we talked to Henry. And Henry, you know, we called him, he got back to us while we're still in that meeting, and he said, oh, no problem, yeah, we have 15, as long as we're gonna do 15 every year, we can do a 3-year contract, because that was the other issue. And then you had talked to Jim, I believe, and he approved the idea, the concept of a 3-year contract with $15,000. So this is on the day when we were talking about their MOU being inappropriate or wrong numbers. And so we got, you know, and Vince, I would assume, would go along with what those two guys wanted. So the next day, it was retyped, and I think Henry came over the next day or two and picked up the redone agreement with the proper numbers in it. And apparently, in the interim, when they picked up the new one that was accurate as far as dollars, he went and took it to Chad, and then Chad went through it, and he went back to the contract, he went back to the MOU, and he said that there's some inconsistencies here, or some things I think should be changed, and I'm sure he talked about the cemetery with them, and said, oh, gee whiz, you guys got all this big mix, because you couldn't do something on your own, and we should make this so it's all on your own, and so that's where all this confusion and all these issues arose, all right? Okay, I'm done.
Well, we're in no rush, I don't think. We can talk about a couple of these things right now, can we not?
As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's public knowledge, I mean.
Yeah, so
I mean,
I'm fine, let's keep talking. If you look in the email, and we talk about, which you've itemized each of the different things, some of them are, I think, immaterial. One, I think, is a material one.
Yeah.
And my thoughts on it, the reporting regularly on progress, I think it's fine the way it is. I don't think we need to add something in there. It says that he report regularly on progress to both of them, that's fine. If we want to specifically say, report to city council and township, that's okay, but I don't think we need to put a number on it quarterly or anything like that.
in joint meetings.
Yeah, the second thing is, I think, is the real substantive one. Do we want it to be something that they can get out of on 30 days written notice?
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that makes kind of difference here. Okay, and I think we need to talk about that one. The third one about they're not an employee of the city or the township, I think that's delineated.
In the contract.
If it's
Well, they're
not,
an independent contractor, and
Yeah,
then we pay them. The
if-
city pays them the funds, we
Yeah.
get some for the super township, we get some money, and we give them
yeah,
money.
if they wanted a statement regarding that, I think that's
Well, they
a
wanted it,
distinction without difference.
well, they wanted it in the MOU, not the contract.
And the agreement about 15,000 in quarterly payments, okay, it's $7,500 4 times a year, no matter how you describe it. Or, no,
Well, It's 7,900.
okay, yeah, however you describe it. So I think the one we need to talk about is, do we want to allow them to get out of the contract on 30 days' notice?
Yeah, I mean, the nitpicky things, it looks like we're gonna have to draft these things from scratch anyway, and I don't really care if they're added, they just more delineate what's already in there. But I don't think, since they're only paying 15,000 out of the total, you know, cost of this, that they should have the right to arbitrarily, well, independently, let me say, cancel the contract. That means we have to go and then contract with Dennis again outside, because it's canceled now, and he doesn't work for anybody. If they want to get out of paying the 15,000, that's a different thing. And so maybe you could put something in an out clause in the MOU. But I don't want to cancel a 3-year contract, you know, with a consultant that we, you know, want to keep on the job. And I don't know if anybody's talked to Dennis, but it probably is driving him crazy that we're going through this nonsense.
I feel like that if they wanted the 3-year contract, if they want to get out, then wait till the end of the 3 years and we'll look at it again then, instead of giving them an out to anything.
Well,
I mean, it's,
but there's two different things, though. They want to be able to cancel the contract, so he's not a consultant for anybody. Not just that they want to no longer pay, right? I mean, they're talking about the contract itself
Well, I mean, if
says
they get
that,
out, the contract's got to go differently, you got to redo the
Yeah.
contract.
yeah, but the contracts, no, but they want to terminate the contract.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that there would have to be a new contract.
Right, and I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah,
I-
that's not in our best interest.
I agree with you, Rob, on what you're saying. And for the $15,000 that the township is contributing to this contract, Dennis's time is worth that to us and to the city.
Yeah, I agree with that
And
too.
my concern would be if he's knee-deep in a project in the township
Yeah.
or on behalf of the township, they pull the rug, and he's already got this time and effort committed. And so we've lost time that he could have been committing to projects here in the city, and we're still, I would rather put a protection in place if we're going to fix the contract or amend it in some way. I want some type of a clause that protects the city's contract with Dennis as a consultant, and that anything that he's working on, it doesn't just stop him. It doesn't, if the township would decide they're no longer interested, or we need a safety net. And I think if we look through the past few years of some of the situations with the township, I am not over speaking on saying we need a safety net with this. And for $15,000, I'm not willing to risk us being stuck in the mud somewhere.
This doesn't surprise me what they're requesting in the least, and I believe it's not proper.
I think some of it what's going on is maybe what Frank alluded to, is that Chad may not have seen this. He's got 2 of the 3 trustees that are saying, yes, they want it, and he's read this contract thoroughly, and he wants to put in some protections that he thinks are appropriate. I don't know if it's, he's really doing the township's bidding, the trustees' bidding, or if he's just giving thorough legal analysis of the MOU as he sees it.
Just so you know, I've talked to Chad a couple times since this has been out. And, I told him that, these issues came up, that the MOU was wrong. And, we got the hold of Henry, and Henry said, yeah, 3 years is fine. I'm ready to go as long as we stay on 15. And then we talked to, Jim DiPaolo. He was on the same page, all right? And so as it rolls along, then he gets it and he does more of an analysis, nitpicking kind of a thing, and he comes up with his stuff. So the last time I talked with him, he said, well, there's just some things, and, you talk, and then we can talk, all right? So I don't think anything in here is nailed down, all right? And to be honest with you, I think that if we, certainly the 23 stuff is good, and, maybe meets or presents it to both council and to the township, whatever it is. The 25% is a simple thing. It's there. The idea of the time period, I think, is good. Because, when I talked to him, I said, 30 days. I said, what are you talking about? We're not going to even have a contract for 30 days. If that's what they're going to do, it makes no sense. Well, maybe we can do something with that, change it. No. So, I think he's just threw that out there because they asked him to look at it, and he threw all these things out.
But-
So, to be honest with you, I think that a lot of it is more, bluster than anything. Or not, but the one particular issue is more bluster than anything. The other stuff is kind of, a little bit of icing here, and icing there. It's nothing.
Township trustee, as far as getting information, who is on the CAC board, and hears Dennis's report every month. That's ridiculous.
Well, and Dennis also meets with them.
Yes, he does.
Dennis reports.
And we can't get them to come to one meeting, which is required by the cemetery rules. We can't get them to one. How did you get them to 4?
Well, here's the only thing I would add. Dennis is, obviously we passed an ordinance tonight saying there's no more storage facilities for another year. Dennis is real concerned about what land's available to be developed. My thinking is, the township has a whole bunch of land. To the extent that things can happen and he gets involved in creating something that way, I don't know that it's to our disadvantage to just tell the township to hit the road. I think it's important to, try to analyze it in that fashion too, that, the land to create things, where's that miners going, a big warehouse? That's gonna be out there. Is that still, that's in the city, that's in the city.
That's city.
That's in the city, all right, but it's still more on the outskirts of town, and there's a bunch of land that's on the outskirts of town, or outside the town, that is capable of being developed. So, my only thought.
I think key takeaway that city wants Dennis to continue the work he's doing, and what some council members have expressed is that protecting the city should the township then it sounds like one of the 4 points, the 30-day out clause, that you are changing that or suggesting that that be changed to what Rob was pointing out, that it is just them giving a 30-day out on, and correct me if I'm wrong, 30 days out on their $15,000 contribution, but the amount, the contract for Dennis would stay in place, and then he would just be working on behalf of the city at that point. Do I have that right?
Yes, but what if he's in the middle of a project?
That, I don't know, how do you?
Or where at in the, how do you prorate the 15,000 at that point? And that's my biggest concern.
Well, I thought he put that in there, didn't he?
I want some type of a safety clause to protect us and to protect Dennis so that it's a seamless process.
And maybe 30 days is a bad number, maybe it's 90 days or even 6 months, maybe that's a better,
Well, I think it was, the last time I talked to him, he's kind of backing away from that completely, all right?
That'd be good.
Going up to like a year or something, all right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that to me was kind of the last time we
that would
talked.
give you more time, like you're saying, then, like, yeah, I would agree, because 30 days is like,
I said, there was no contract, all right, if you're going to do that.
I mean, yeah.
And then the report out could be, I mean, that could be an individual, it doesn't need to be a joint meeting, right? I mean,
He
we
sends
could
us
do-
a monthly report for our meetings. Why can't,
Yeah, the joint meeting, I agree, that's why.
They've always said that they can't make it for some strange reason.
I hate to just reinvent the wheel when Dennis is already he's already reporting out, so why change it?
right?
Well, I don't want to give them a reason not to pay it too, though they won't pay it because we didn't have this formal meeting that they wouldn't schedule with us or whatever.
He
Well, I
can
mean-
send a formal report via email with a
Right.
tracking receipt.
Yeah, something
You know,
like that.
we get the report every month.
Well, I think the way I propose it is there doesn't have to be a basis. That could be a basis, well, you can have a recorded meeting. But the way the way it's kind of set up, there's really no criteria for saying you want to terminate it. There's nothing in this agreement, contract, that says you have to meet this criteria before you can say, I'm walking on the contract. So there's nothing like that.
If
You
we
just-
had a viable JED, you would have your meetings automatically, you'd have 4 meetings with the JED itself. But the problem with the township, it does the dispatching and going to the sheriff's office, to me, that's a slap in the face. What was the other major thing they bailed out of?
Is this something then you can work on with Chad or the township and then
Well, I
bring
told him I'd
back
get back to him.
Okay.
Talk to you guys. So, the idea, the concept is that, should there be a time when they back out, that the contract, acknowledging that the contract will continue to the extent that there's underfunds necessary, the city's going to maintain that. All right? To the extent that the 2023 thing is gone, that's okay, that's fine. Quarterly is fine, that's, we're already in there. And then as far as the taxes and stuff that you talk about, how do you handle that, the independent contractor? They are responsible for all those things, right?
Yeah,
Right,
they're
we just-
1099.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just pay them the straight amount that's stated
And
in
they're
the
responsible for all
contract.
their taxes.
Yes, they have to file and do all
Yeah,
that.
they're on their own as far as that goes.
Right, exactly.
So, okay, what else was there? Okay, well, as far as the 30 days, I mean, I think all basically we're saying is that, we're not gonna have a contract for 30 days, 6 months, 9 months. It's gonna be, I'm gonna see if I can get him away from that and just say, look, 3 years is where we are, what we agreed to. Everybody said 3 years, all right?
Yes.
See what he says.
Now, Jim's the polar way of doing that, because when I first got that, I had a meeting, he's the chairman of the regional planning. I said, what's going on, He says, no, we're in for the 3 years, but we want to do it a year at a time. That's what he said.
As far as
What does that mean?
Yeah, right, that's,
renewing the
so you're not in
contract,
for 3 years.
I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
I'll talk to Chad.
Okay. Well, all good then?
All right.
If there's nothing else to discuss,
All right.
we have,
Go home, everybody go home and have a champagne and kielbasa.
all right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody.